on, folks, let me tell you about a friend. It's Craig LeBlanc, where the good times never end. Talking Parks and Rec, it's a show you gotta know. Welcome one and all to the Daily Parks and Rec Show. It's the Daily Parks and Rec Show.
My mom and dad have always taught me, leave everything better the way you found it. I tell our people, if something breaks down everything, I care about the person, not the thing. So you have to look at, how are we helping our people? How are we helping them go at an elevated level of where we're helping a better customer experience for them? Because for me, they're coming to the park, I want them to experience the greatness of what this park brings. I think the biggest thing that we've been able to do, and that's been on the trend, is looking at different solutions and different ways to become better.
Welcome to the Daily Parks and Rec Show, where we dive into the heart of community spaces that make a difference. And today, we're spotlighting Nathan Fort, Park Superintendent at Daisy State Park in the breathtaking Ouachita Mountains of Arkansas. Daisy State Park isn't just a park, it's a destination. Nestled on the northern shore of Lake Greeson, this park is home to stunning views, hiking trails, 100 campsites, and even yurts. Under Nathan's leadership, the park has become a beacon of inclusivity and outdoor education. From the new visitor center to accessible playgrounds, Nathan and his team are working hard to transform the park into a place that welcomes everyone. Join us as we explore how parks like Daisy State Park are enhancing community connections, embracing diversity, and creating unforgettable experiences. Let's dive in.
Love my wife. Yeah.
All right, we're back again. Craig LeBlanc with the Daily Parks and Rec Show. Special guest, Nathan Fort, Park Superintendent from Arkansas, correct?
Yep, you're correct.
Okay. For some reason, I thought it was a different part of the country. I did not realize. I love Arkansas, by the way. Shout out to all of my Arkansas Parks and Rec people. Arkansas was the third state I ever went. This is a long time ago. I did Alabama was first, Louisiana, and then my third state was Arkansas. I went up to their Parks and Rec convention, and it was, it's kind of like northwest Arkansas. The terrain was just breathtaking. It was.
Yeah, Craig, you're up in my country. That's actually where I'm from, is up in that area. So.
Oh my gosh! If you have not been, there was a little. What's that little town? It's so picturesque.
The town. Eureka Springs or Bentonville?
Yes, Eureka Springs. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh! If you haven't been there, ladies and gentlemen, you are missing out. It is the neatest little town. It's like walking back in history, and it's just kind of buried in these cliffs and stuff, and just really neat. And there's always some kind of festival going on.
Always an adventure there, or a festival.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad. For some reason, I thought you were like in the Smoky Mountains or something. And then I'm like, Arkansas, wait a minute. I love this state. I actually have been there twice with my kids, my wife, going to, there's a old reservoir that was a dam. And I think they've just continued the dam. So now it's just like a lake, or it was like a power generator. They shut that part of it down. And it was right outside of Eureka Springs, and they had these little cabins in the woods, which is almost exactly what you do. So maybe before we get too far down that road, let's go into kind of your history. How did you get into Parks and Recreation, and what was your journey to get to where you are today?
Well, Craig, it's kind of weird because I kind of fell. I always tell people I never thought I would be 31 years old and be in Arkansas State Parks whenever I was 3 weeks old, or whenever I was 4 years old at, one of the bat hikes at Devil's Den State Park and running off with everybody and going into the darkness, pretty much. I kind of just grew up in Parks and Rec and didn't even kind of realize that this is what I was meant to do. I actually thought I was going to be a special ed teacher. I always thought teaching was kind of my passion, my calling. I just realized that was kind of a piece of it, but I didn't want to be confined into a classroom. I wanted to kind of reach into the outdoors and kind of serve all populations instead, just a select crowd, if you know what I mean. And so I kind of journeyed through that. My background's in sports and recreation, actually, because I was a former college basketball player. So it's been ingrained within me. My mom and dad are both former college basketball players too. So
no way.
Yeah, it was kind of in my blood. So I kind of had to do the same thing. They're mad at me though. I left Arkansas and actually played in Kansas at another college, and left Arkansas for a little bit. So those flatlands that you're talking about in Louisiana, I had to experience those up there in Kansas a little bit.
Yeah. We were talking before about the difference between Louisiana. Of course, I'm in New Orleans and Baton Rouge, and I'm like, the food's good. It's fantastic live music, second to none in my opinion, but not much to look at as far as topography or mountain views or anything like that. It's flat as water.
It's a little bit different here, that's for sure. When people come here, they're like, "Oh, this is a little bit bigger than what we thought of." I'm like, "Yeah, of course." But no, when I left Kansas, Craig, I decided to come back here and decided to move around. I moved to Nashville, moved to Montana. I was a Parks and Rec director over in Dayton, Tennessee. I got the calling to do that, and that's where I kind of really just fell in love to it, because I was serving not just a select group of people. I was helping everybody in the community. I was transforming and just elevating communities. And so from there, I learned I was obtained to get a $4.8 million grant for the city of Dayton for a new playground structure provided by Blue Cross Blue Shield, which helped me move closer to my family, move to Kansas City, and now coming to Arkansas State Parks now at Daisy State Park. Coming here, I really just, it was just a God-given calling for it. I didn't think I would ever come back here. But, being back here, being able to serve my people, but also serving people from all over the nation. And even we got to see people from India, Switzerland come for like the eclipse this last year, because our park was under 100% totality.
Yeah, I was there. I was at one of the Buffalo River parks in Arkansas. That's where we went. We went canoeing and got to see the eclipse from Arkansas because y'all were right. Y'all were in the best spot, at least in relation to us.
Oh yeah, we had a couple state parks like Petty Jean State Park, Crowley's Ridge. We had quite a bit that were in 100% totality. So it was kind of cool to get people from all over the nation, like Switzerland, India. I mean, people from all over the world just want to come for this historic moment in state parks, and I really wanted to be here for that. Example 2, we have a brand new visitor center. I know you can't see much of it now, but just making improvements there, and then being able to come back here and provide accessibility and inclusivity, moments for our participants, for our guests, for our community members. I always said whenever I got that grant back in Dayton, Tennessee, the one thing I wished is I could bring it back to my people here in Arkansas who really, really need it very much. And it's just transform our community here. So that's kind of been my journey coming here. I didn't think I would fall into state parks or parks and recs in general, but it's allowed me to see a plethora of not just city government, county government. It's allowed me to see the state park side. Being a director in YMCA in Montana helped me see the nonprofit management side and how it takes to actually come together as a community. So taking all those experiences and all those parts and kind of cultivating together has helped me not just help Daisy State Park, but helped with a lot of our Arkansas state parks here. And I'm just glad to be a part of it, honestly.
Now, you had mentioned that when you became a director for the first time, that really exposed you to, what we call inclusion, but kind of including as many people as you can, serving all the community, not just a specific, maybe a camping part of the community, but maybe speak a little about all the different populations that you try your best to serve as a director.
We try to serve everybody. There's a stance that I always had whenever I first started Parks and Rec, Craig, was nature doesn't discriminate.
Oh, I love that.
That's what someone told me. And it's true in a way. Nature doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care who you are. It just matters if you're there or not. It's the same stance that we have here at Daisy. It's the same stance that we have here. I grew up with a sensory and emotional disorder. And I grew up, being in these marginalized communities and realizing, and also with playing college basketball, my experiences of being, one of the only white guys being on a, predominantly African-American college basketball team, I got to see how, homophobia, racism, just all that kind of played into it, but also seeing, I didn't see a lot of people for the special needs community or veterans being exemplified as well. And that's part of those marginalized communities that need to, be directed towards so we can actually help those in need. One thing that we've done here is some of our campsites, we've been able to kind of raise and level those. So like my grandparents couldn't get to, it's hard for them to camp sometimes, as we all know. Some of our grandparents and, our older seniors, they can't really, accessibility wise, can't really do that. Well, we've been able to take those campsites that were down below and take those and raise those up to a point where people can actually just walk instead of just dip down. That makes sense. And then our playground, we've been able to provide accessibility moments for that and include inclusive features to it. So anybody with a wheelchair can actually access every part of our playground, which is really nice. And we actually kept some of our old elements to cultivate the heritage and history of the state park system and who we are, to kind of show the history of that. So we've been able to add moments in there. With the grant that we did back in Dayton, the best thing I ever saw was being able to have somebody in a wheelchair actually get to experience every playground piece on that equipment.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, again, you're just transforming and changing lives. That's the biggest thing that I wanted to do in Dayton, and now I wanted to come back here to my home state and bring it here to the state park system, in which 100% our state park system has been full on board on it and have been super awesome with it. We just actually bought track chairs at other state parks like Pinnacle Mountain State Park and LeBlanc State Park, where we actually partnered with Arkansas with accessibility, where people that are not accessible can actually use our track chairs and go on the trails. I think that's
no way.
It's amazing. It's speechless, honestly.
What is a track chair? So I've never even heard of this. So what is it? It's a chair that can actually figure its way out to go on the trail.
It's almost like a remote control tractor, almost, pretty much, is how I have to describe it to people. I've never seen it in person. I've always seen it online. I've seen it from other pictures, but it's almost like a remote control tractor, pretty much.
Okay, I think even if I'd be jealous. I'm like, okay, how can I get on that thing?
It's really, I mean, from what people have seen, I've seen, it's really cool. But anybody that cannot access a trail, because I've had people in walkers go on my trail before, and I'm like, we need an element or a piece that can actually be accessible for our trails, and Arkansas State Parks has been able to do that. So it's been really cool to kind of see that.
Fantastic. You know, I was thinking as you were talking about being a collegiate athlete, which I had an athletic scholarship that got me to University of Kentucky. And then I had a great, by the way, if you haven't seen episode 112, which was yesterday's episode by Aaron Locks, he runs the National Academy of Athletics. And we were talking about how a lot of these elite sports clubs or travel ball teams are excluding the non-athletes. And believe me, as being a college athlete, there were thousands of people that never got to sit in my shoes, that were just excluded from life lessons that I carried with me, even though I could not be a pro athlete. Unfortunately, in my sport, there was no pro. I was a college cheerleader, so there's no pro side of cheerleading. But I did get a full ride doing it. And I wish that everybody had the experience of being on that elite level of a team and the life lessons that I carried with me into business and everything else that I've touched. And so maybe talk about how rec sports allows athleticism of all levels to participate and get those lessons that me and you got when we were, obviously at maybe higher levels.
Yeah. Well, Craig, the funny part is I think I can relate to most people is I'm not really that athletic. People think I'm really athletic. And honestly, I don't think I am that much. My mom and dad, my other cousins, they're more of the athletic type. I think for me, it was just a drive in the heart because where I came from, Rudy, Arkansas's population, 65 people, so there ain't much going on there. You're not going to see anybody really go and play college basketball. You're not going to see anybody really kind of cultivate that. It was the notion of just, hey, you just graduate high school and you just try and make it. I think that was my kind of point of view coming in, but basketball really drive that. Those rec sports really drive it. And I always had to realize, like, now that I have nephews and nieces that don't actually play athletics anymore, I have to think about, what can I do to help them rise to what they do at their best? We all have an art form at some point. Basketball is a part of an art form. Me providing recreational services for people is an art form. Me going kayaking is an art form. Me doing jewelry is an art form. And so we have to look at that from step back and take that from a standpoint, take that out of sports and go, what else can we do that cultivates better active living? And so that's why, kayaking, hiking, those things that we can all enjoy and just do. And even like with those track chairs, people can still hike with those. There's no excuse that people still can't, because you provide those inclusive and accessibility moments for people to have that. And so sports have been great. But I'll tell you this, Craig, sports have taught me more in my role as a park superintendent, as a director, more than anything about respecting others, working as a team, cultivating and coming together whenever you're losing the ball game, or
Right.
or coming at a time where you have to form with your team and come together. And there's going to be times where you're split apart, but those
Right.
moments whenever you need each other, you're going to come back together with each other and cultivate that. We got to experience that here with our grand opening here. It was something that we thought, I don't know if this could work at first, but it came together as a team. We cultivated with each other, and it became absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
You take the sports and everything with it. I always tell people, let sports be the driving factor of what you want to do growing up. Because I thought I would go play overseas in college after I played in college, but I realized that's not really the path. I'm not really helping and cultivating communities. What's my purpose? I always tell people, what's your impactful purpose that you want to serve?
Yeah.
But not just
Oh,
yourself, but for other people. So, yeah.
And I love that lesson I love that statement where you said, these different art forms that you have. When I was little, I used to play the violin, and then my oldest son is a very accomplished cellist. Shout out to Dr. Montez, who was his teacher and at the New Orleans Orchestra. And he always wanted me to pick the violin back up and play with him and stuff. And I'm like, Gabriel, my art form is entrepreneurship, and I love to paint in my median. And really, there's so many other ways. And I think it's just important for humans to just be creative, find their creative space that breathes purpose and meaning into their life, and then go create. Don't find yourself in a non-creative place. And just as Nathan was saying, even if you're on a team that's building and maintaining a park system, it's a team effort, truly is an art form. Even if you're running a business or if you're in a sport, I mean, oftentimes we think that to have an art form is literally just painting. That's the only one that's classified as art. But I think as long as you're striving and becoming something in the process, that I think that classifies as you expressing yourself creatively. And there's so many different ways you can do that. I'm so glad you kind of brought that point up.
Yeah, of course. No.
Now let's go into, well, actually, while we're on this topic, let's talk about how it's a team effort to run a park system that you're doing. So how is it a team effort to basically run a state park? And you talk about how much it's not a one-man show over there.
It is not a one-man show. Well, Craig, there are how many? Well, I ask you this: how many cards are in the deck? What do you think?
I think it's 52, correct?
You are correct. We have 52 state parks, so we have many. So I am one of the many state parks that runs many of the teams. So right now I have 10 employees that I have here at Daisy State Park. Some of the parks that we do have are a little bit bigger. We do have ones that are smaller. My park is a little bit different. We're one of the biggest camping parks in the state because I have 100 campsites. I have one-of-a-kind yurts that have heating and cooling inside them, the only ones in the state of Arkansas. And then you have a 7,200 lake with you as well. So we do have a lot going on here at Lake Greason, especially at Daisy, especially with the amount of interpretive programs that we do. So running a state park system, we have different parts. And each state park is very different. With ours, we have an interpretation side, which is the one I talked to about you before. That's our interpreter that does all of our programming. So for some people that are in city or county parks and rec, it's more of somebody that's like a program coordinator or a program specialist, more in that sector. And then we have our maintenance side, of course. We have our maintenance that kind of maintains, runs the park, helps us with any type of electrical, any type of plumbing, anything that we may have that we don't contract out. And then we have our administration here at our visitor center. So I have a office manager, I have a desk clerk, and I also have my assistant superintendent, whose background is in law enforcement, that helps us secure the park as well. So when you add those moments where we're fun, we're enjoyable, but we also have to make sure that we pay the bills, make sure that it's safe, make sure that things are running and working at the same time, and making sure that we keep our guests communicated and informed on what we're doing here at Daisy, and also making sure that we maintain the community as well. We're also like city and county parks and rec, where we also have to look at the community. So like, for example, we have school groups coming in the next few weeks as well from the community, which you would think they would come to a state park, but school groups are some of the best things that you could ever bring to a state park, just to let you know that. So if you're at a state park locally or somewhere close, reach out to your interpreters, because honestly, they do some of the best programs that really help and really give great educational advice. I know we do that here at Arkansas State Parks, and some of the programs I've seen, I've learned so much
Yeah.
From it. So it's taken a lot of people. It's taken a big team. So like I said, we're just 1 to 52. So we have over 1,500 employees in the state park system. So
Yep.
it's also nice to have the connection of other office managers, maintenance, other superintendents. And then we have our central office in Little Rock, who we talk to with our big directors, who reach out to us, and they give us support and guidance too. State park is very different from city and county, where we've had a whole lot more support. The system's been around for a while. They have their own standards of what to do. And it's been really awesome just having that. So
Yeah. Well, let's dig a little on that while we're on that topic and I never thought of it this way. So I'm so glad you're bringing this up. And one of the reasons I was excited to get you on is because almost all the big state associations and the national association, you see the state park people. There's not as many as the city and county park people, but you see you guys. And you're the first one that I've had that runs a state park on the Daily Parks and Rec show. So I'm glad to have you here to kind of point out the differences. And one that you just pointed out was that state parks have been around for a long time. Whereas I've had some cities on the show that they're like, I'm the first park and rec director ever in the history of this park system. Not so with the state parks of Arkansas. Maybe you can, and actually, I think y'all have the oldest park in America. I thought Hot Springs is older than Yellowstone, if I'm not mistaken, or it's like right up there.
Yeah, we're not too far from Hot Springs National Park, so not too far. We actually go hand in hand with them. We kind of work with them a little bit as well, because most people that come to Daisy or some of the other state parks, they're mainly going to hit Hot Springs National Park. So it's nice that we have a great relationship with our national parks, which is really cool with it. The way that Craig, tell me a question again one more time, just to make sure I get it all.
So what kind, first of all, how old are the state parks in Arkansas? And you were talking about the level of support and clarity and structure. So you're stepping into a well-organized, or at least a machine that systems have been in place for quite some time. You're not building the systems from ground up, which is what a lot of park systems that work for cities sometimes will find themselves in. So maybe talk about how that's beneficial to y'all and what that looks like.
Okay, good. Well, I just wanted to make sure and everything, because whenever I started in Dayton, they did not have a Parks and Rec director for about, I think, since the 70s, maybe 70s or 80s. Wow. And so it was very different coming in, because some people had never had a Parks and Rec director. Some people had a big gap, I guess, in not having one. And then you have kind of where you have a system that's already been in place already. The first state park that actually came into effect, and I'll have to look up the dates just to make sure. The first one that came was Pettigene State Park. It was actually owned nationally, and then finally the state actually acquired it. If you have not been to Pettigene State Park, shout out to that park. That is one of the best parks to go to. My family actually lives on top of there, just to tell you that.
Wow.
And then from there, that's when Daisy came upon. We are the 8th oldest state park. So we're actually still pretty old compared to some of the others. They were born more in the 80s, 90s, kind of like Lake Fort Smith, for example. That's not too far from where my mom is. Those kind of came into effect, and some of those were still kind of populating and still kind of increasing as well. For example, Pinnacle Mountain State Park, we're about to get. We have an area called Lake Sylvia Recreational Area that is brand new that we just got in the Little Rock area. So it's great for camping, but also a great day use area. So people from the Little Rock area can actually use that with Pinnacle Mountain as their day use park, but can actually also camp there too. So we're trying to increase that a little bit more, so we can actually, people don't have to drive, an hour and a half just to go camping too. They can be accessible right there, provide that convenience factor as well. Or that it's very different though with city parks with that, because you will have for example, Pinnacle Mountain State Park is a day use park mainly. We don't have any camping there. So it's kind of like your city county parks that you have. Whereas whenever I stepped into this role, I'm like, oh, people are staying the night here. Usually I usually have to lock up a gate. Well, this time I don't lock up a gate.
Right.
So it's a little bit different where you, example, have an emergency line like we have here. Anybody that has to call the park, for example. So we usually never had that in city, county, parks and rec. Other thing is too, I have noticed too, in state parks, it is a little bit more relaxed. We've known from psychology and sociology reports and data that, seeing the outdoors increases your mental stability, increases your your positive encouragement interaction toward others. And so it's helped me a lot. the woods is kind of like my home, my sanctuary in a way.
Mhm.
And so it's kind of helped me in a lot. Whereas I was in a city, I was like, oh, this can be a lot for a lot of
Yeah.
people. So it's kind of different in that sector as well.
Yeah.
And the way the jurisdiction is also as well. Whenever I was a former Parks and Rec director, I answered to a city council with a mayor, and supervised by a city manager.
Mhm.
This is a little bit different where I have a regional supervisor that supervises 8 parks, about 8 to 15 parks in our region that each one has. So we have about 5 regions within our state that we have,
Mhm.
including somebody that does all of our lodge parks, including Petty Jean and others. So it's kind of split off into those different areas who I answer to, and then that goes up to, of course, our assistant director, of course,
Mhm.
and then our director secretary answers to our governor.
I
So,
see.
so it's a different little bit of a structure than it is in city, where it's a director going up to maybe a city manager or maybe to a city council or city mayor. In that regard, where there's other different levels as you move up in the state park system.
Right. And then, of course, so this whole structure just is spread out across the entire state, and it's all
Yes.
managed pretty much from top to bottom, from the governor all the way to the front lines, which is where
Yeah.
y'all are at.
And I love how organized and structured it is, with
Yeah.
how it's just ran and structured. I do like fun and everything, but I do like a little bit of order and structure. So it
Right.
gives great just structure on that. So that's one thing
Yeah.
I'm really thankful for on that.
Now, you used a word that I don't hear much in city and county parks, where you said interpretive did I hear that right? Interpretive programming?
Yeah, interpretive programming.
Can you explain what that is and maybe define it a little for those not
Oh,
familiar with that term?
I love to tell people this. We get the question all the time of, oh, what languages they speak when people think of an interpreter or a park
Yeah.
interpreter. Park interpreter is someone that interprets the park. So they're going to interpret my lake for me. They're going to interpret the land. They're going to interpret my trail for me. They're going to interpret the history of what Daisy State Park is and what Lake Greason is. So
Mhm.
each park interpreter that we have in each state park, their main job is to interpret each and everything at the park. For example, we have over I'd say over 100 types of trees that we have in our park, and other state parks as well. We do a community trees hike where we actually educate, and observe different types of tree structures that we have here in the state, so we can actually educate others on this. So you'll see a lot of Boy Scout groups, Girl Scout groups, and a lot of school groups that you'll see come through to do programs like that. We do kayak programs, we do hiking programs, we've done backpacking programs, you can name it. The state park has done stuff. We've even seen people come here for hang gliding, rock climbing as well. Yeah, that's what our interpreter mainly does, is to promote, elevate, and educate people on our outdoor recreation mechanisms that we have here and interpret the
Love it.
park.
And
So
does every park have, of all the 52 parks, do they all have a full-time, part-time, or how does that work?
it just depends on the structure of the park and depends how big your park is. For
Right.
example, our park, we just have a part-time seasonal. We just have a
Mhm.
part-time that we have, because I do some of our interpretation as well. But there's some other parks that have over about 1,000 acres.
Mhm.
They probably have a little bit more campsites than what we do. We are one of the bigger camping parks, but we do have some parks that have cabins. We have other people that also have like rent an RV. We have other campsites that are more than 100. So of course you're going to get it just based on the needs of it. So we have a lot of parks that do have full-time interpreters as well as
Yeah.
part of that. For example, have you ever heard of Crater and Diamond State Park, Craig?
I have
I
not.
gotta give a shout out to them because they are the only state park in the U.S. that you can go dig for diamonds. If
No
you
way.
find a diamond, you can keep it.
Nice.
So,
Ni
and we have people that will find diamonds, and they're legit, super
Right.
legit. So
Fantastic. Well, I'll take this time to take a little break for YPN. But while I've got you here, before I press our little YPN promo, first of all, YPN stands for Young Professionals Network, and this is for anyone in Parks and Recreation that's pursuing a Parks and Rec degree in college, or considering this as a career, either a high schooler or you're in college or you recently graduated and is like within your first 5 years of working for Parks and Rec. That's kind of the bucket that we call Young Professionals Network. We have a show for you every Friday, 12 noon, 52 shows a year. And here's where you come in, Nathan. I'm looking at trying to do an in-person event. And at first we were trying to kind of replicate what you might see at a state convention, where it's like at a hotel and you've got vendors and you've got educational programs, But of course, we're working with young kids. I say young kids, people in their 20s, and we're trying to keep it as cost efficient as possible. And over the weekend, somebody said, what if we do like a big state camp out or something? And that way, literally all they're having to buy is their plane ticket. We can just come there. So which Arkansas State Park would be able to house like maybe 60 college young professionals that we could, which one would you recommend of the 52?
You may have to give me a little bit, Craig. 60.
I'll just plant that seed.
I had many options, but I gotta talk to the other superintendents just to make sure.
Right.
On that, but no, we can definitely do that 100%. Our group camping here, I will say, the way we do our group camping here is, it's extravagant. I've never seen anything like it, even in states that I've been to.
Yeah. Oh, I know. And the only reason I'm saying this to you is because I have camped in Arkansas, and let me tell you, they do it right. They have got some of the most beautiful parks, the state parks that I've ever been in. And I know my guys from Colorado are probably going to shoot me because I do have some good friends that run the state parks in Colorado. But I'm kind of partial. But yeah, we'll take it offline and discuss that, but just keep it in the back of your mind. I think we may end up doing something a little more rough around the edges and maybe more appropriate and cost efficient for young professionals to do an annual event where we bring in some of the best teachers in Parks and Recreation. And we do just maybe 5 or 6 classes with everybody in the same group. So there's no in Parks and Rec conventions, there's like 50 things to attend. You can only ever attend about 10. So you're really missing out. Whereas we only have 5 for everyone and teach some in-depth stuff around Parks and Rec. And the rest of the time we'll be enjoying whatever state park we land in, because there's always cool stuff to do, whether it's canoeing, rock climbing, stuff like that, going on trails. So
I'll hook you up big time. Don't you worry about that. I already have a few in mind. Just thinking about what you said.
We're going to work this details out. All right. If you're listening, Sevy, this is the beginning of a great thing. He's the guy that's helping me organize this. Okay. So, let me go ahead and do the little promo for YPN, and then we'll come back and finish up with Nathan.
The future of Parks and Recreation is here, and it starts with you. Welcome back to the Daily Parks and Recreation Show, where we bring you the latest insights, trends, and conversations shaping the world of parks and recreation. Today, we're diving into something that's shaping the future of our industry, Young Professional Networks, or YPN. If you love your job and love the parks and recreation community and are looking to connect with the next generation of leaders, this episode is for you. YPN is where driven, passionate professionals come together to connect, grow, and make a real impact. It's not just about networking, it's about building the future of our communities. Why join YPN? Career growth and mentorship. Learn from the best in the industry. Innovative ideas and collaboration. Be part of the next big movement. Leadership development. Take charge, make decisions, and create change. Whether you're just starting out or looking to take your career to the next level, YPN is your gateway to success. From exclusive networking opportunities to cutting-edge industry insights, this is where you build your legacy. Because the future of Parks and Recreation starts with you.
All right. So if you are a young professional in Parks and Recreation, we got a show for you every Friday. It's more of a panel. So yeah, right now it's just me and Nathan going back and forth. Imagine 4 other people also on screen with us. So it's not as intense in the conversation. But we had a really good show the last couple Fridays. Got another one scheduled for this Friday. And yes, we are scheduling putting together an annual in-person event, as you heard me and Nathan talk about. And so hopefully it'll be at one of their beautiful state parks. Do you have any message for young professionals, since I know you were one previously and maybe have had worked with some currently?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me, Craig, is do what you, it sounds cliche, but do what you love and love what you do in this. I tell people to dream big. I think the one thing that has helped me was to have no boundaries, no barriers with it, to just go for it and just be creative and just have fun with it. I think that's the one thing that young professionals need to know when coming in this, and what you do, what you love is, are you having fun when you do this? When you wake up every day, are you really loving what you do? When I come in the Daisy State Park, I love what I do. And I honestly thought when I stepped in, I would not.
Mhm.
But it's been amazing. The journey it's been, and it's all because I've just been able to have fun. Of course, you have to have the resilience, you have to have the hard work, the discipline, you have to have all those characteristics and what you need to do. But if you're not having fun while you're doing it, it's not as enjoyable, and you're not going to reach the standards and the objectives that you want to reach.
Yeah.
I've noticed that because it's kind of blocked me sometimes, and I've been more resistant on things, and I've had to just fight through that and go, you have to learn to enjoy and love the process of getting to where you want to and everything. So I encourage a lot of our young professionals in Arkansas, this whole nation, when it comes to Parks and Rec, that we need people to elevate and love our parks, love people as well, and love what we do as well. Because Parks and Rec, it's going to keep going no matter what. It doesn't discriminate as well, and it will always be around for people to enjoy forever. And people need to realize that there is hard work with it. It's not tough it's not easy being in a state park. It's not easy being in any type of park, but the amount of impact that you do, I thought I would just have that as a teacher when I was going to be a special ed teacher. Well, I didn't realize now the impacts I have now on not just people, but communities and other Parks and Rec professionals. And I'm glad I get to mentor other Parks and Rec professionals to where they need to go to now, just like I needed at that time.
Yeah.
So that would be my advice: just dream, have fun, dream big, and do your thing.
I love your message around falling in love with the process, because so often we fall in love with the end result, which is just a brief moment in the process. So a process might take 5 years. You might stand on top of the mountain for 5 minutes. So that means you're going to be happy for 5 minutes over this 5-year period. But if you can find a way to fall in love with the process of becoming and impacting, like you said, in the park systems, then every day you're loving it. Because it can be more, should be more about who you're becoming, not necessarily the trophy at the end, but what kind of person does this journey make of you in the process? And that if that is your objective, to become a leader, to impact people, man, I can't think of a better industry than Parks and Recreation to become a leader and to impact people's lives. Is there anything you can say more about that?
I mean, Craig, I'd say anything else. I mean, the biggest thing is don't be afraid to start. I was really nervous on getting started in Parks and Rec because I didn't think there was anything for this. I didn't think there was any type of setup or any type of manual. I had nothing at that time. And so I was a little bit nervous kind of walking into it until I realized when I was in Nashville, I was a nonprofit education director for the Salvation Army at the time. And I was like, wait, there's a job to handle basketball tournaments and oh my gosh, I can get playground stuff. I can do maintenance. I can do all these aspects into one. I'm like, yeah. And so I became a programmer at that time and then became a manager. And then it became for me to be a director. So I really like I said, I just fell in love with it, but I was scared for a lot of it. Because I thought I was going to be a teacher and was just in this box. That's why I tell people to break out of that box, get out of there and dream big with it and know exactly what you want. If you want to sit here and go and manage hiking trails and help hiking trails, guess what? There is a place for that. If you want to go help, for example, we had somebody that was like, I want to do social media and everything, but I love the parks. I love everything. Well, there's a job that can be combined with that as well. There's other avenues in different sectors that people actually don't get to see. When I came to the state parks, there were so many sectors. I'm like, wow, people can go into this and this and this. And I wish I knew that when I was younger on that. So don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to jump into that and be willing to ask those questions, even though it may be hard, and get with those young professionals that want to be with you. Shout out to Cheryl Ely at Knoxville Parks and Rec. I remember calling her up in Dayton when I was a director and calling and go, listen, I am just a 26-year-old boy just trying to make it in good old Dayton, Tennessee. Can you help me now, please? And she's one of my best friends in the whole entire world. She's one of my best mentors, and she's gotten Knoxville to a whole brand new standard. And so just asking those questions and not being afraid has really helped do that. So.
Fantastic. That's such a great message, especially for young people, is just to jump in, to ask. I think when you've been in school since pre-K and 12 years of now being in school, and you come out, you're kind of used to being told what to do. But out in this world, in the job world, it's really important that you develop the skill set of asking for help, asking for advice, asking, for direction, just you name it. You're going to be shocked at the answers you get and the people that are willing to help you, if you're just genuinely asking for direction.
Yeah, it's
Versus
been
figure it out on your own.
Yeah, it's been nice. And like, for example, my position, I've been asked, I got a shout out to Shay Lewis and Jeff King over in Arkansas State Parks up in my central
Mm.
office. I've been able to ask them and my boss, Mike Farringer. I'm, being able to ask and actually receive the feedback that you need and what you need just has been so nice here as part of it. And like I said, there are systems created for where you can actually go and ask and get the services and the advice and the kind of mentorship that you need as well. So
Right.
I never thought there were spaces like that. So it's not just in state parks, it's also in county and city parks too. It's just about finding that right fit too. And that's something I have to encourage young professionals too. When they get in, they're like, oh, I think this may be too hard, this is too tough. Like, enjoy the process of it, because you're going to get to that point when you find that puzzle piece with the right fit in your puzzle. So,
Yeah.
and that's where you have to enjoy that process of it. So,
Yeah.
and that's where I've had the process now of, it's been hard for me to ask, before, but now I'm in a system where I get to be able to and really just be with some great people that are allowing Arkansas to be one of the best in outdoor recreation and have the same mindset as well within that.
Yeah. Yeah. And there is this illusion that you're supposed to know, that you should know. Maybe you're embarrassed for not knowing, but I can tell you, after forming many, many companies and working with many nonprofits, that I never knew anything and still don't know anything. And everything I touch is wrong. Like, there's nothing I touch on a daily basis that's not wrong. It's just a matter of how wrong. There is room for vast improvement on everything we touch, even after years of master. I have talked to directors that have been at it for 30 years and we're constantly improving, finding ways. And so how much of everything they touch was majority wrong, which means it has lots of room for improvement. So to think that you have to know on day one, don't be embarrassed. None of us really kind of know much of what we're doing. We're just making the best improvements, finding ways to make things more efficient. And it's infinite, the amount of improvements you can make in a park system. Maybe speak about what it's like stepping into someone's shoes as a former director, and they're handing the torch to you, and the kind of improvements you're looking to make into your park so that you just leave it off better than you found it.
Oh man, it's a big question, Craig. I think for me, it's kind of what you said best. My mom and dad have always taught me, leave everything better the way you found it.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that look like? And the first thing for me is how I've always been taught, I tell our people, if something breaks down and everything, I care about the person, not the thing. Okay.
Mm.
Things will interchange. People don't. Okay. So you have to look at, how are we helping our people? How are we helping them go at an elevated level of where we're helping a better customer experience for them? Because for me, they're coming to the park, I want them to experience the greatness of what this park brings. I think that's a big thing that Arkansas State Parks has kind of taught me, is not just like other things. It's more about like what the experience is within that. And I think the biggest thing that we've been able to do, and that's been on the trend, is looking at different solutions and different ways to become better. For example, some of our campsites are going to be elevated and they're going to be redone at some point that we're looking at in the next few years, so we can have better accessibility for them, so people don't have to go down to their campsite. They can actually go at a great level, so they can actually just walk to their campsite instead of going down level, where some people love that experience. But we have to look at our people, population that we serve, as part of it.
Yeah.
The other part of it is that we're wanting to make our trail more accessible and make it longer, because Craig, nobody wants to usually go on a 0.5 or 0.75 mile trail. They want to go on a longer trail usually, just to enjoy the outdoors.
Oh, right.
And so we're wanting to increase that and just have more volume within that. And then our programs, we want to actually not just give a program, just go, oh, here you go. We actually want to make it very impactful and purposeful for people. One thing that we've thought about doing is doing more programs based towards special needs community, which we're thinking about doing more, and look at how can we make sure that we provide that time for them from being in the special needs community. How can we provide that one-on-one or that one-on-three time with them to make sure, instead of being in this whole group, we're just addressing everybody, we're making sure that they're involved in that process as well, and bringing those inclusive standards within that. And so I think that's something that we've been able to do, and now we're still elevating at that. And I think that's something that's going to be able to leave it the way better than what we found it, because we've been able to ask our people, which I always tell our young professionals, ask your people what they want. Please ask your community members what they need, because they're the ones that help drive what your community wants.
Yeah.
And then able to just look at our staff, look at our standards, and actually plan it accordingly and go, can we make this accessible? Can we make this happen? And then also taking chances. We had AmeriCorps. Shout out to AmeriCorps for coming in the park and building our sand volleyball court, some of our campsites. We do a partnership with Arkansas State Parks as part of this. They were some of our other state parks working as well, but they've been able to elevate our guest experience, and just by bringing them in here to bring some of our work hours, so my staff can still do their job and what they do, has helped us as well with our community engagement and our marketing and our interactions with others. And so it was a chance, because our staff had never been through something like this, but it was a chance that was worth taking, and we really enjoyed it as part of the process. So
Yeah. And then, okay, so for the next topic, I wanted you to speak on, and it kind of fits in with our last question of what are the improvements that you make. But a lot of state parks have, their money, they can be money makers, and so they can sustain themselves a lot. Whereas you've got some city parks I've talked to, they're only able to recover 1, 2, 3. Their goal is to get to 5% cost recovery. Whereas I see a lot of state parks, between the cabins and they'll even have little bait shops and they'll sell firewood. And so they can really generate income so that they can, pour it back into either the staff or to develop the park a little bit. So I noticed state parks kind of are on another level when it comes to cost recovery and generating income for themselves. So they kind of self-sustain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a little bit different in city county parks and rec. Budgets are a little bit different in state government. That's one thing I noticed. But I always tell people that are coming into state government or city county that have left state parks, you got to think of it like your community's park. That is the best. That is the biggest standard, the biggest framework or mindset I've had to tell people. Because in a way, I always tell people we get visitors from all over the country coming here to Daisy, but this is also our community's park too. We have people that come and run this park from the community. So we have to treat it like that as such. So if you have that mindset already and don't look at it as like this is just a state park, you're kind of starting at it with the wrong mindset. And that was my mindset coming into it. And I thought, this is the same thing. What's really the huge difference with it, besides the organization, besides the agency being a whole lot bigger with a few more levels, whereas the city county government, it's going to be probably at a little bit of a smaller level, whereas you have some cities that are kind of at that big level though too. So I think the biggest thing within that, so I'm trying to remember what question you had asked. Sorry.
Just about cost recovery and how y'all are able to generate revenue for the park systems.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure, just in case and everything, because like I said, it's a little bit different with city county. With programs that we did in city county, we would try to generate programs that was based on what the population, what the need was, and try to figure out what supplies we already had as part of it, and try to incorporate that cost with it. Example, in Dayton, we had 12 pickleball courts. Let's do a tournament. Let's generate some revenue from that. We were able to generate about $7,500 from that, just from doing pickleball tournaments. Now it's gained so much where it's done so much every time. Now that I left Dayton, they're doing their 4th annual pickleball tournament they've done every year. So, and they've generated ways from that. State park, we generate from it from like our kayak rentals, interpretive programming that we do as well. Also from camping as well. But like I said, we use that money and we bring it back in the state park system as part of it. So, and like I said, each park is different. You'll lose revenue on some of it. Example, Crater Diamonds, they make revenue off of it because you have tons and tons of visitors coming to look for diamonds as well.
Right.
So, so it just depends on the park level as part of it. So like I said, I've not been asked that question in a while on cost recovery. So it's been a minute, because it is very different. I think about it. It's like, oh yeah, county sees this, states this, but in a way it's kind of the same, but in a way it's also different as well of how we divide it.
And I remember there was one park, I'm trying to remember the name of the park, but they got these little tiny homes built by a local high school. The high school was teaching a lot of trades, and so as their project, the state park would buy the lumber, the material. But then as part of their education, they would build these little tiny homes very efficiently. And they just had electricity, air conditioning, and it was like a bunk bed in there. And then they were able to rent these out for like $40 a night. And then I think it only cost them like $4,000 to build them, and they put them all around the lake and stuff. And now they're adding like
Wow.
5 every year, and it's just a huge revenue generator now for them. And it's just, one above like a tent, but it's not really a cabin, much more affordable. And this is a way they were able to cooperate with a local little trade school teaching high schoolers how to do stuff. And they were able to come on the state park and build these little cabins out. So as just one creative example of how some of these state parks are adding little revenue generators that, people who visit these parks can take advantage of.
Yeah. And we have that with our yurts too, as well. They're kind of a revenue
Yeah, good
generator
example.
as well.
Yeah.
So I had to think about for a little bit. That is also one of our revenue generators that we've had for a little bit here. Is our yurts. That's also been something that's, like I said, when I came in here, I never knew that the acronym is a year-round universal recreational tent. There you go.
Oh, I didn't know that's what that meant. I thought it was some kind of Indian name. I didn't realize it was
We've had many people.
an acronym.
What name does that mean?
Yeah, I
No,
thought it was an Eskimo
yurt-
name or something.
But no, our yurts have been a big revenue generator as part of this, especially adding heating and cooling as part of it. It's just elevating the guest experience. That's always what our big mindset is just how are we elevating that? Because we know it's going to be a little bit of a cost, but then later on we think, how much can we generate from that later on moving forward from this? So
Right. So let's talk a little bit about trail maintenance. I know something that y'all all have to do. How many miles of trail do y'all have? How do y'all maintain them? Give us a little rundown on that for those that maybe don't have as many trails to maintain. But
So we have a mile trail that we're about to incorporate and revamp to 1.5 miles. That's something we're working on right now. And then we also have the only ATV trail in the state park system, actually, which is our cycle trail. Now it is about almost 36 miles of it, but we only maintain 8 miles of it. A lot of it, this is on Army Corps of Engineers land. So we have to do some trail maintenance. We actually do have a trail maintenance crew that actually comes from our central office that actually comes down. But we do have my staff also comes and helps with our trail maintenance as well. And then AmeriCorps, whenever they came here to do our campsite renovation, Craig, they also got to help us on our Daisy Nature Creek Trail area because it is a creek area. So when rain comes or water comes, it's going to be rolling down the river like Tina Turner usually.
Right.
So you have to be able to address it, of course. And so they were able to come in here and actually make a waterway for us to actually kind of help with our trail system right there. So that way, whenever rain does come, it doesn't flood our whole trail, because sometimes that happens when you're in a marshland like this, or well, not really a marshland, but when you're in a lake area just like this, you're gonna have moments like that as well. Yeah. So it's been nice maintaining our trails. We actually have some of the best trails in the state park system, which has been really nice too as well. So it's all about just addressing the needs, looking at what needs to be addressed, looking at different spots, but also again asking your people. That has been the biggest thing. Hey, on mile marker 3, this area, it's a little bit bumpy on this area. And then, I'm going out there just seeing that I realize, oh yeah, it really is. I can see where this is coming from someone. And we've been able to make improvements with that and just get out there and just address those as part of this. But like I said, it's nice that I also have people, I have Little Rock and I have other, superintendents. I have other staff members that also help with this. So it's nice having that big family. So if we do need extensive trail maintenance that my staff can't do, we actually get help from the department as well from that. Yeah. So it's been nice to have really great support as part of this. Yeah. So that's part of our process that we do with trail maintenance. So we're still in the process of that because we did just get hit with a good sized flood. If you heard about that.
No, I didn't. What happened?
We had some of our state parks closed. We had some flooding go around. So we were one of the state parks that was still open at the time. So we did have a big jump in revenue with our camping. And so, but it did not jump when it came to some of our trails or some of the places that got flooded, because now it's just pretty much wet. And so now we have, now we have like our crew right now that's trying to improve our trail. We have other crews in the state park system with their maintenance crew. They're trying to get out there right now and improve those trails too. So we have this happen sometimes, or when we have tornadoes or storms come. So it's a regular thing we have to watch. So it's definitely different with city and county parks and rec than it is state when it comes to emergency and risk management too.
Okay, so with the few minutes we got left, I can't believe these shows fly so fast. All right, 7 minutes to go. I wanted to dig a little into your personal journey, how you grew up with ADHD and now you're a leader in Parks and Recreation and in state parks. And so maybe just define what is ADHD, and what are some of the things that you had, how was your journey a little bit different? And how can you encourage people with this not to hold back in life and just keep going?
Well, for some people that don't know, ADHD is attention deficit hyperactive disorder. I also have a little bit of an anxiety disorder as well. So that
Mhm.
it also doesn't help when you collide those worlds together sometimes because you're
Yeah.
hyperactive, but you're also stressed. So growing up, Craig, it was like I said, I never thought I would be with people. I actually, when I was in a special ed class, kindergarten through fifth, and actually got taught I would never get a college degree in my life. So
Mm.
it was definitely different. Like I said, I never thought I would be in the field that I am. Growing within that, the one thing that's helped so much is I was always outdoors. That was the one big thing. I was always outdoors all the time, learning about what trees were, flowers were. Whenever I got told, "Hey, you're not, you're dumb enough, you're not good enough, you're not tall enough, you're too big enough," all those things that kind of helped geared toward that. Whenever I had a coach tell me I would never play college basketball in my life, it kind of just gave me the jump to actually go do it. When I had that teacher tell me I would never have a bachelor's degree, I went to go get my master's. And so
Nice.
it's been really cool to just have those kind of I guess kind of those conflicts that you have in hand that you don't know what to do
Mm.
sometimes. It's been nice to be able to have a great support system, number one, as part of it, with my ADHD, and being honest and open about it, which is really tough for people because now you're telling people, "Hey, you may be too much," or "Hey, you may be, I don't know if you can focus as much," or "Hey, I don't know if you can be, in tune or alert as much." But
Mm.
just having a great community, telling people the truth about what you have, and then also addressing the need. My staff knows that, there are times I may not focus as much or things that I may get stressed about as much,
Mhm.
but being able to cultivate, like I said, it's all about taking care of your people, cultivating that team together, and then understanding where you're coming at, and then having that support system right there that knows, "Hey, I'm here for you if you need this, or here if you need this," as part of it. That's been my personal journey just with that. And there have been departments where I did not
Mm.
have that safety. I didn't have that inclusivity. There were times that I did not think there's no way I can do this. There have been times where I've cried leaving the job immediately, knowing there's
Mhm.
no way I can do this based on how stressed and anxiety I am. Um, but it's the biggest thing is finding just that right fit and
Yeah.
being able to be open and honest no matter what, because the right people will know who you are. They will accept who you are and they'll love who you are. That's the
Yeah.
biggest thing. I didn't think I
Yeah.
would have that here at Daisy, in the Arkansas State Park System, but I've had people like, I'll shout out April, that actually helped me approve to get this on with our podcast today. She's been a great support system. I've had other great park superintendents. I've had people from the National Recreation and Park Association that have been absolutely incredible. So it takes a whole community to do that, and that's where it's helped from having just that ADHD of having that anxiety come in where you think that you're alone all the time, but stepping out of that shell and going, no, let's ask those questions. Let's talk to people. Let's not look at what they're going to react or be stressed about how they're going to feel. Let's just be open and honest and authentic of who we are and what we are. And I think that's just been the big driver, Craig.
Yeah. Yeah. Great testimony there. And just know that, everyone has something that they're struggling with. There is no life without struggle. And so whether it's just a family issue or like an ADHD, or maybe you're just too young, too old, there's always something, some excuse, some obstacle that you'll have to overcome. And when I look at it as a blessing because I was also diagnosed with ADHD, and unfortunately, it's well known and understood, but most people's issues are not so well known and understood. So they're just kind of like in the dark, not even knowing what's going on in their life. Whereas at least people like me and you, maybe we were tested. We have, it's kind of well known, how to deal with what we deal with. I mean, still struggle to deal with, but um, just know that everybody that you're facing in your life, if you're a leader, has something going on, and being open and honest and helping. Uh, and I notice a lot of people are like the community aspect that you said. Just having a good support system is a night and day difference. And I know in Parks and Rec, they're all about including all sorts of people anyway. And so that goes not just to the people they serve, but to the people on their staff. Maybe you can just speak about that culture in general, how how open Parks and Rec community is, or the culture of Parks and Rec is to just work with the community, both staff and the community that they serve.
Well, biggest thing, like I said before, nature doesn't discriminate. We want to open everything to all communities. Biggest thing is there's so many ideas and so many moments and so many experiences and features that are cultivated from the diversity and inclusion and equity of other people that are brought together. I never thought about accessibility when it comes to participants in wheelchairs until I got somebody that came and actually I saw them go to their campsite in a wheelchair and went, I do not like that. They're going to struggle as part of this. How can I put myself in their shoes and make something impactful and purposeful for them immediately? We have people that come in here that are different race, different sexuality, different worldview, different culture. Biggest thing for them is they feel like sometimes that they may not belong here in the state park system, or they may not belong in that city or county park. The biggest thing is, how can I make sure they are safe, included in everything that they are here at Daisy State Park and here at Arkansas State Parks and here in every Parks and Rec system that we have in our world. We have to put ourselves in our shoes from every different person, different culture. That's why I always encourage others to go out, travel, experience other people, be around different cultures, be around different people, and provide, because it's if you're in the field to do Parks and Rec, this is more than just about you.
Right. Oh,
and
yeah.
that's something we have to really remind people as part of it, and not just talk about it. They actually have to do it. That means going out and taking that further step. Whenever you want to leave at 5 o'clock, but guess what? You're taking that further step and meeting them until 5:15. Or, for example, I'm waking up do I really want to wake up at 7 a.m.? No, I don't want to. But to make sure that guest is taken care of at night, or making sure whenever I get a call at 2 a.m. to make sure they're taken care of, I'm providing an impact and purpose for them, because now that translates into, I have more than half of people that come to Daisy, they come back here.
Right.
So
Yeah.
just from that. So that's something we want to include within our team. That's something that I say to our team all the time is, you need to look at from how you think of when you came to the state parks. So now, from growing up in these state parks, from being in them so much, Craig, going to 48 of these 52 and actually experiencing them and seeing them, it's allowed me to actually take a step back and go, we need to do this better. We need to do this better. This is what we need for Arkansas State Parks. And so it's been really great to kind of elevate. And, it's been nice to change a culture as well, just providing a great outdoor recreation experience, just providing the experience for people. That's the biggest thing, is not just focusing on the thing, but just the whole experience in general, to make sure they have a great time, and want them to come back. For example, when people come in late, we're like, here, come in, check in tomorrow, go and set up, go relax, go take your time. This is what you're meant to do. Like, go have fun.
Right.
And people are just like, wait, really? Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And so we just want, and so we're just like, yeah, of course. And so
Yeah.
I think that's different from city county Parks and Rec, because when I was in city county, I was like, we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to do this. State Parks like, no, go ahead, do your thing, go ahead and do this. Everything's
Right.
good.
I love it. I love it. Well, Nathan, thank you so much. For those of you listening, this has been such a great episode. Please like and share it, because there's so many powerful messages embedded in this talk we've had with Nathan. Just a really good leader, and I love how diverse his background was, coming through all sorts of Parks and Rec experiences, and now in the great state of Arkansas, which I'm hoping we host a YPN annual convention there. So we'll continue to push that, see if we can get something going. But appreciate you coming on today. And this will be going up in YouTube. Give us about a couple weeks. We're running behind schedule because we're producing so much content. I'm overwhelming my content to creators and videographers and stuff. But thank you so much for coming on the show, Nathan. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, Craig, you're the best. Thank you so much for just helping, not just me, but thank you for helping other professionals in this field. This is impactful so much. Like, you were awesome, not just from me, but from other Parks and Rec professionals. Thank you so much.
Yeah, really appreciate it. And our fuel is the love and support that we're getting from y'all. And I know we're doing a good thing, because we're just highlighting people that are doing fantastic work. So honored to be able to support anything we can do for y'all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Good talking to you, Nathan.
Yeah, nice to talk to you too.
Yeah, take care. All right, so that was Nathan Fort over at one of our great Arkansas state parks. If you haven't been to Arkansas, it is one of the hidden gems. Just as far as state parks, topography, the Ozark Mountains are just stunning. So much good stuff going on in Arkansas. And I'm hoping that maybe I can do our little annual convention. I need to pass it by all of our organizers of YPN. that being said, if you want to help organize the YPN group here at the Daily Parks and Rec Show, we do meet on Fridays. We're also created a little group chat. Now, you don't have to be a young professional to help organize, but you can be a young professional, or you can just be somebody that really wants to see young professionals taken care of, have something for them, and really build something that's kind of their own little community, their own little voice as they get started in parks and recreation. We know that can be kind of a daunting task, and it can be intimidating to step into parks and rec because there's so much to learn on day one. And a lot of times you don't realize, hey, you got 30 years to figure all this stuff out. And even then, there's so much left unlearned. So just take it easy and take it one bite at a time. And so we want to create that for parks and recreation. I mean, for the young professionals. Now we also have our a new morning show. It's 10:45 a.m. to 11:45 a.m. Eastern, specifically focused on facilities maintenance. And so if you are a superintendent that has gained decades of wisdom on maintaining sports fields or urban forestry or trail maintenance or aquatic centers maintenance or anything like that in maintaining the facilities of parks and recreation, please reach out to me on LinkedIn, come on our show, share with us the decades of wisdom that you have. Also, if any of you know directors, calling directors, superintendents, if y'all work with exceptional vendors that are doing a great job, and you'd like to recommend that we have them on the show to educate us as to their goods and services that they've been providing successfully to Parks and Recreation, please also help me get in touch with them. And y'all know me, I'm a big Bitcoiner. I love technology. I love disruptive technology. And I've actually got some really cool companies that are doing some fantastic work on robotics and software and smart cities. And I even got a doctor out of University of Austin that has these quad drones that uses facial recognition to identify a weed or an unwanted plant, and will just spray weed killer on that one plant versus coating the whole field and stuff. There's all kind of cool stuff coming into Parks and Rec and really all of our lives with AI and stuff. So anyway, that's kind of what we have going. And I promise you, I'm going to launch Financial Fridays. I'm just putting it all together where we'll discuss about cost recovery, deferred maintenance, and taking a hard look at the finances of park systems so that we have a strong financial future for all of our park systems. We're going to be highlighting some of the worst stories and some of the best stories and some of the best recoveries, and really highlight some parks that are just doing it really well when it comes to strong financial futures. We want to make sure that everybody has the strongest financial future possible, especially when you never know what kind of tax help you're going to get this year. It's kind of just a gamble. So you hope we get good tax revenue, but you want to make sure that even if you don't, you can still provide the needs that the community is depending on you to provide. So that's kind of the shows we have going on right now. Again, Nathan, thank you so much for a great show today. Please like and share this show with everyone when it comes out on YouTube. So many good messages there from Nathan, Chris, and Kat. Y'all are going to have a lot of fun clipping these little sound bites. And Nathan, if you're still listening, if you have any footage or camera or images or anything from your park system, I'm going to create a group chat for us right now on LinkedIn between me, you, and our designers. If you send it to them, they'll make like a little 1 or 2 minute promo to put at the beginning of your YouTube video. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and close out with, let's see, I'll use the outro that says that you can buy this light right here from us. It helps support the show. This was my former company. I brought this with me as kind of like how the Girl Scouts use cookies to fund getting girls on campouts when they're young. We're using this to launch this show along with some other sponsors that are helping us out. But if you need an LED light for a sports field or a parking lot, this is you replace it 1 for 1. It fits within any kind of maintenance budget. I designed this light myself over decades of experience. This is almost a bulletproof light. Not only to say that because it has gotten shot out before. Shout out to my New Orleans friends. But it is a workhorse. This sucker will last 100,000 hours. It's got a tremendously long life because of how well it's engineered, and it can fit easily within some kind of maintenance budget. So you just replace your old lights as they go out, send your electrician up with one of our lights to just swap out the entire fixture versus a bulb and ballast, which it's nearly at the same cost as a bulb and ballast. We've gotten so good at manufacturing these at super efficient rates. So And you get to support the Daily Parks and Rec Show. So that'll be our little commercial going out the back end. But appreciate y'all tuning in today. Tomorrow we have another great guest. We also have the maintenance show at 10:45, the 12 noon show, which is our leadership series like we had today with Nathan. And then Friday we have our YPN show. So thank y'all for tuning in. Love you guys. Y'all have a great week. Bye.
When you invest in our high-performance LED sports arena lights, you're not just upgrading your facilities, you're helping us illuminate the untold stories of parks and recreation communities. Every purchase directly supports the Daily Parks and Rec Show, a media platform on a mission to celebrate the heart and soul of our local parks and programs. From after-school activities to summer leagues, these spaces shape lives, and their stories deserve to be told. Why your support matters. Capturing community impact. Your contribution helps us assemble a talented team of digital artists, storytellers, and filmmakers to create compelling videos, articles, and short films that spotlight how Parks and Rec programs change lives. Sharing untold stories. From a child's first home run to lifelong friendships forged on the court, we'll document these priceless moments and share them with the world. Inspiring the next generation. By highlighting the joy, inclusivity, and opportunities found in our parks, we foster a deeper appreciation for these vital community spaces. Light up arenas, brighten futures. Your choice to install LED sports arena lights isn't just a smart investment in energy efficiency and performance, it's an investment in stories that deserve to be told. Be part of the story. Take action today. Purchase LED sports arena lights and help us shine a spotlight on the heartwarming stories that define our parks and communities. Contact us now to learn more about our products and how your support fuels the Daily Parks and Rec Show. Together, we'll shine a light on the moments that matter most.